Testing, 1, 2, testing. If I can get some feedback from any platforms. Sound quality, please. Been a while since I've done a live, so I'm gonna wait till some people join and get feedback on audio. I'm live here on YouTube, live here on Facebook and all of my pages. I will briefly introduce myself and chit chat a little bit. If you guys aren't familiar, my name is Jeremy Marquez, and probably watching this on either business Facebook pages, J Marqeting to On to the Next Door, or over here on the YouTube channel. It is Friday, 4:34. I'm broadcasting live and direct from my home office On to the Next Door here in Sacramento, California. It is 100 and plus outside, guys. It is hot. 100 and something. So the AC is set on 75-ish, and I'm chilling inside, getting things done. And again, like I said a little while ago, it has been a little while since I've done a live stream here on the page, on the channel, within the business, but it's definitely not a first. If you go back into the video archive, not only on YouTube, but mostly on Facebook, you'll see hours and hours and hours of me doing these live streams, making phone calls, doing some training, all sales related, mostly real estate related stuff since 2016. The content that I've been delivering on my different platforms when it comes to my business. If you guys are just joining, or if you're watching a replay, I'll just go ahead and there's no real format to this actual stream. I'm going to talk a little bit, do a little bit of introduction, a little bit of updating with what's going on in the business, and I plan to make some calls. I have some fresh leads to call. It's Friday afternoon, so the goal would be to potentially find some properties that would work for some of the things that I'm doing now with On to the Next Door, with We Call You Close. So I'm live over here on Facebook. Let me just check the different where it's all being shared before I just jump into spilling the beans on everything. I want to make sure we're sharing on all platforms, so just bear with me. I think next time, because I see quite a few of my friends, they're using things like StreamYard and other platforms. Like I said, I'm not a novice at this, but I've always usually done it Facebook and YouTube. But now that we have almost 500 subscribers on the YouTube channel, that's what's up. Thank you guys. Shout out to you guys, and of course thousands of you over here on Facebook. Of course, there's the TikTok channel, Instagram, all that stuff too. But when it comes to streaming live and doing real estate stuff and doing some sales calls, mostly on YouTube and on Facebook. Let me just go ahead and check these other channels here. I don't want to break nothing. Sometimes when you're set up, well, if you guys stream, you know what I mean. We're still small potatoes over here. Hopefully this time next year I'll have somebody on the team handling all the tech stuff. Maybe we'll be in a studio. Actually, just to give you an update on that, I did get permission yesterday from a guy that I met named Andy. He has a business out in South Sacramento, and he said, "Man, you got a podcast? Cool, man. If you want, why don't you go ahead and broadcast your podcast from our shop?" So he has a little cafe, So long story short, we're gonna plan that. I'm gonna do some live streams, and I'm gonna bring in my buddy Edgar or somebody else potentially to be a cameraman, and you'll bring camera crew, set it up. My guest, most of my guests that I have lined up aren't local, but I could probably find myself a high caliber flipper that I'm working with, or investor to bring on. That's the idea with the podcast in 2023, and when I bring people on, people that are ahead of me in my career, in the lane that we're in, within real estate, with investing, within developing. So as an example, I do have in August lined up a gentleman from Southern California who's been involved in over 5,000 transactions in developments, does a lot of speaking, a lot of training, and he's agreed to be on. I have a few other people that have lined up over a period of time, high caliber, high producing people, not only in business, but because to me, this world is much bigger than just the coin, but in life, people that I follow, things like that. So my goal is to bring you guys just quick interviews, things like that, and talk about their upbringing, how they got started in the business, what they're doing now, that type of thing. The first show is going to be in the second week of August, so just stay tuned for that. I'll just be dropping more and more on YouTube and on the Facebook channel, Instagram as well. So give me a moment here while I finish setting all this up here. And again, when I go live, when I'm about to make some calls and stuff, there really is no format. Sometimes I'll just pause for a while and do my thing. So if you have questions, drop it in the chat. I have a list of data here. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. I'm just trying to pull up some other tabs here to make sure it's shared on the right channels here. So once again, yeah, on YouTube, man, we're up to, I think, almost 450 subscribers. And that's great because just in the last month, it's gone up. I mean, this time last year, I had maybe 200. And I've been trying to deliver more authentic, real content of what I'm doing in life, with the direction I'm going in business, what I'm working on with On to the Next Door, which is great because this whole last couple of weeks, a lot of stuff has happened. A couple of hours ago, I just got off the phone with somebody I'm going to be working on a joint venture with a project, and just every day, a couple of times, I'm creating new relationships that are opening new doors towards the direction I'm going with the big vision, and just visualizing, making plans, taking action, and wash, rinse, and repeat over and over. And it looks different because some of the deals and the projects that I'm working on right now didn't even come from me making phone calls, like reaching out. It just came from relationship building. It's not crazy because that's real business, and I love making calls, but right now when I'm making calls, what we're going to do is we're going to start creating more operating procedures as I'm doing it, standard operating procedures, guidelines, even booklets, or whatever you want to call it, because by the end of August, I'm going to have a handful of virtual assistants making phone calls as well. Not only within what we're doing, but we're going to be working with a handful, or who knows how it looks, but I've already created a couple of MOUs with nonprofit organizations, and the goal is to just help them expand their housing programs. And so that could start off as small as doing some fundraising activities and things like that for local nonprofits, but big picture, acquiring property and then renting it out to them so they can use it in their programs, so they can expand their services and what they're doing in not only Sacramento but other parts of the country. That's the direction in where we're going. So now, not just acquiring property to just do a quick flip or put it into a contract to wholesale off to another investor. Now, those are always exit strategies when we get property. But as most of you know, my passion is not only just within real estate, but being in service of people in my community. 2018, 2019, I was homeless. I had some times before that where I was doing great, and there were some times where I fell off. And I now that I've recovered and things are different in life, I'm still the same guy that has that sales mentality and likes to go after stuff, the entrepreneurial spirit. However, everything looks different in the grand scheme of things when it comes to real estate, because now we can go after property, acquire property, continue to do what we are doing, but purpose driven. Because my goal by the end of 2024 is that at least 80% of the properties that we're acquiring or any type of investment that we're doing is impact driven, purpose driven, geared towards the big picture of helping solve housing solutions by partnering with organizations that are helping people get off the streets and into programs and supportive services. And now me, I don't have to necessarily be involved in creating programs and being so hands-on with that to be involved and help, because now I can come in as the private entrepreneur, as the business person who has property and is willing to partner and collaborate with organizations that are already doing this work. And what I can bring to the table is just more than somebody who, because of where I was, it's purpose driven. Okay, it's great. I'm going to be helping a lot of people basically to where I was just a couple of years ago. Okay, it's much bigger than just pursuing the bag. That's my thing here. Now when I'm making these initial calls and out here creating relationships, being in business is more real than it's ever been. And I've been creating businesses since I was 7 years old, right? Back to creating lawn mowing services, to door knocking, to all the different ventures and working for people. I was able to sometimes get behind stuff. And of course, as a salesperson, and I'm telling you guys and sharing this with you because I know a lot of you that follow me subscribe on YouTube and especially on Facebook, follow because of the sales techniques and the stuff that I share with you and help you guys get better, because I'm all about helping anybody and everybody that's watching this get better with their craft when it comes to sales and pursuing goals and what we're doing. But this is as real as it ever gets. And what's great is I can just share as much as I can with you, because that's what we're doing. And there's a clear vision, right? Compared to, as an example, okay, let's just throw it out there. 2008, 2009-ish, after the mortgage fallout, because I was doing loans. Some of the companies that I was working with back then, they rolled into what was called, and not to knock it, but some of these outfits that rolled into doing this service, they just weren't necessarily providing services, right? And I was, as a salesperson, you can pretty much sell anything, but my point is, on to the next door is more than just a company that is coming in and buying property and fixing it up and turning it for $1 and putting renters in it, right? We're going to get properties, get them up to market standards, and then bring in one of our partners who's a nonprofit organization, and they're going to outfill the units with people that need to get into these homes, right? So that's the big picture. And so I feel like now, not only as a growth and scalability for a company to be able to achieve impact, but the people that are involved, myself and anybody else that comes in, as part of anything that I do in joint ventures and partnerships, and as we grow, because even imagine this, right? Let's say we have a project in 6 months where we're acquiring a property that we're going to partner with a men's recovery group, and we're going to partner with them so we can help them open another home that's going to bring, let's say, 20 men off the street. And I'm not saying, just an example, right? And a portion of these men volunteer or want to work and start building homes, and so now there's jobs too, right? So there's a whole big picture to what we're putting together here, and the reason why I'm so transparent and sharing with you guys is because this is one of those things that Jeremy Lloyd Marquez doesn't do on his own. I already have a handful of people that are already involved, that, people that are keeping their eyes out for property, agents, brokers, finance people that I work with, but it's everybody. Everybody knows somebody that has been affected by drugs and alcohol, homelessness, not just driving down the street and seeing it, but somebody close to themselves, whether it's themselves or a family member, somebody that you work with. It's not just the people that are out, unfortunately, in tents. Because before I was homeless, I lived in this same community. I did well. I was a six-figure earner. Because of my disease and my alcoholism, it took me out, and there were some really dark times. And so now that I'm recovered, going on almost 2 years without a drink, I'm still in business. I still want to continue to build things within real estate, but it's more purpose-driven. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And I can ramble on about it because it's not about, oh, look because I haven't done shit. I've created some relationships. We have some projects. Become one of the big for this type of housing. It's still just more. It's just the meaningful work behind it, right? So with that being said, I have, let's see what I'm sharing with you here. If you guys are on Facebook, I don't have to share the screen, but I got a list here. And if you're in real estate and you're looking for like a data platform to pull some of your data, check out PropWire. It's free. All you have to do is pay for the skip tracing, so you can pull a list of entire landlords, probates, and I'm going to sound like a commercial, but it's free. And if you're in real estate, I recommend checking it out. All you got to do is pay for the skip tracing. So earlier today, I had the opportunity to speak with another investor who, does some deals in the area, and we're actually going to probably be venturing on some stuff as well. Got this property pretty much we're looking at North Highlands that's just more of a project. And as long as the numbers work, we can get 100% financing on the purchase and the rehab costs. You don't have to use banks, it's all relationship based. Hard money if you need it, but private money. And then when we're talking about some of the affordable housing stuff and partnering with housing organizations, then sometimes when it comes to buying property, we can go after grant funding and things like that as well. So, I'm going to probably jump in and probably start making some phone calls here and stuff, but from what I've shared so far in the first 20 minutes, for those of you guys that do want to learn more about what I'm doing with On to the Next Door, whether that's being involved on a volunteer level, whether that's being involved in referring property to us that you see, whether that's if you know somebody on the street that needs help, just whatever it may be. If you want to invest in the organization or donate, that type of thing, there'll be links in the summary, or you can message me directly. Again, On to the Next Door is a DBA of J Marqeting. We're a private company, but a lot of the work that we're going to be doing is in partnership with organizations that are nonprofit organizations. Now, part of the work that I will be doing, not other than just going and trying to buy a property, like when I make some of these calls here, if a landlord doesn't necessarily want to sell, but they'd be open to participating in the program and potentially helping in the cause, there's always the option where they can offer a master tenancy. Then at that point, I wouldn't become master tenant. I would be more of a liaison in connecting one of the nonprofits that I've already created a relationship with and the owner that I get on the phone with, and then they would create a master tenancy. And there's a lot of benefits for a property owner, especially not only, yeah, you're helping in the cause and helping get people off the street, but if you're going to look at it as a business standpoint, there are more tax benefits if your property is being used for that case. I'm not a tax person or a professional, but you're going to want to look into that. But we do explore that. But also, you're looking at a master tenant who is willing to sign a lease that's probably a little bit more than market rent and potentially for a longer term. Because one, it's a program, and they don't really plan on moving around. If they can lock in a number, even if it's a little bit more than market rent, a lot of these nonprofits, they're working off of government funding, and so when they do their grant writing or their proposals for funding, not all they have to do, but what they do is they write that in. And so let's say on a 4-bedroom 2-bath, let's say, I was just talk to an owner, and he's normally able to rent that out for $2,500. Except for he's had some issues over the last couple of years with some tenants, right? Not only with COVID, but just problem tenants. So I'm just painting a picture of how it's going to work. And so when I paint the picture that I'm on the phone with him, I'm working with some nonprofits that what they're doing is their work is to get people, help people off the streets, not only help them get into housing, but into supportive services, and basically explain it. And then also the fact that, one, when you sign a master tenancy over on your property, now this housing organization, they're not the owner, but they're the master tenant, and so they in these housing nonprofits, they have their own staff, their own maintenance people, their own everything. Now, as the owner, yeah, like if the AC goes out or if the roof, yeah, that's on you. But for those 3 years or even however long you give your master tenancy over to this organization that and the help is part of a service that I'm providing to these nonprofits, that's just another benefit there as well. So very low overhead, because you probably won't even hear for it. It'll be like mailbox money, and you're getting more than market rent. And there's a little bit more tax benefit when you're doing it that way compared to traditional renters. So now you're even almost in a range of like doing a midterm rental, like you're doing, not an Airbnb, because you're probably going to make more on that. But if you're really that investor who is not necessarily as concerned about helping the community, the humanity part, because, hey, let's face it, not everybody is. There's also a lot of benefit if they look at it on the business side as well. And as a cherry on top, then they're able to help. And so the reason I'm explaining this is because it does make a lot of sense for a landlord who has a property with 4 or more bedrooms, 5, and they've had issues with tenants in the past for whatever reasons on that list, who would like to do some good in the community, then it's a perfect option. Now, let's say they don't want to go that route, then they could always sell it to us, and then we would go ahead and make a master tenancy for one of the nonprofits. And this is nothing new. As an example, if you guys are in the Sacramento area, you've probably heard of Mercy Housing. Mercy Housing used to be called, it used to be called something else, but there's also the Hope Academy. There's a handful, some small, some large. Some of the smaller ones need more help than the bigger ones because they don't have access to the funding as much. And I've already created 5 or 6 MOUs with local nonprofits that are aware that, if I find a property owner that it would allow them to have master tenancy, that, I will connect the dots for them. Or when we have a property that is available, that we'll be able to help them expand their programs by providing more resources. I can't see the chat on Facebook, but if you guys have questions, you can hop over to the YouTube. The link's there in the summary. Let me double check here. See if I can scroll down and see the chat. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to chop this video up into 2 segments just so I can download it and then upload it. So segment 1, I'm going to keep it rolling here on YouTube, but I'm going to kill it on Facebook. Stand by. And if you're watching on Facebook right now, just go over to the YouTube. There's a link right there on the page.